Well, Doug
Hey,
Smith, good morning. It's
hey,
Tuesday.
Lori, how you doing?
I'm doing fine. It's hot.
Oh my God! Wow, 36 degrees just on the thermometer
Whoa.
outside the door beside the barbecue, and the barbecue wasn't even on, and it
Oh,
was
gee.
36 degrees. So probably 40 degrees. 40. We have a river right beside the house, and
Yes.
you go in the river, but you got to walk. It's so warm. The water temperature, I think it's about 82, 83 degrees,
Oh, God.
and
Nothing
so yeah, it's like you just
crazy.
loving it, loving it, love the
Oh,
heat.
yes. Oh, yes. If we could bottle this up, we'd make a million, Doug. If we could bottle
Well,
this up.
my wife Patty is starting to learn to play golf, and she's never played golf, and I always played golf, and she started to learn. And we went out to play golf the other day, just a couple of days ago, and we got to this golf course, and we decided to walk 9 holes, and it was about 36, 37 degrees outside, and she pulled through like a
Good
trooper.
for her. Good for her.
It was a tough one. So now she's building up her stamina.
Aha. Aha. All good for her. Good for Patty.
Yes.
I always wanted to play golf. I've never tried it. I think I'd be very good at it because I'm pretty patient. And I started out my radio career on a golf show, right? 25 years ago. So, you know,
Yes, yes,
yes.
about golf, but you might as well do a golf show because isn't it true that it doesn't matter whether you're a golfer, a hockey player, public servant, you're suffering from pretty much the same type of issues, anyways, right?
Yeah, there's no exemptions.
No,
There's no exemptions. So, you've invited a beautiful guest today. Why don't you tell us a little bit about her? And then I have some things I want to ask her as well.
oh yes, of course. Janine Charron has been a professional hockey player in her life, and the perspective of a woman in hockey is always a great learning experience. I have two daughters and two sisters, and they both played. And I love to grab the perspective that a woman brings about the sport and about transition, because my work is so much about transition and trauma. And Janine is going to share with her a method that anybody can use. By the end of the show, you're going to have something that you can use
Awesome.
to make sure that you're sustaining that self-worth that everybody's looking for.
Awesome. Great. Well, I can't wait to meet her. And let's see, do we have any updates, tidbits? Yeah,
Well,
we've got.
all I could say to the audience, the people who are listening, is really keep your eye on anything that has to do with the central nervous system and the brain. Over the next 20, 25 years, if you're a young person listening, this can be meaningful. Really pay attention to what's happening. If you're older, pay attention, because you know you're going to be able to stay alive longer if you do certain things, and if you don't do certain things, it'll help you stay alive longer. And really, that's going to be something that I'm pursuing as an individual, as a passion, and also on the business front. So like I'm really into helping people live longer, and while they're living longer, teach them how to heal themselves, how to take care of themselves. You don't have to, live longer but live in pain all the time. How do you relieve that pain? So
Mhm.
that's my passion.
Cool. We're having a little dip in your internet there. Maybe if you have any other programs running, you get rid of them. Just a little hesitation there in a couple of your sentences. So if you've got other things running on your computer, maybe.
Maybe
Mhm.
I should be speaking slower.
Well, all right.
Did
That would
that
help.
work?
That would help. That would help. Yeah, well, we're all in the helping industry, that's for sure. And I've been around a long time and pursued the research and development around self worth. What is that? And then built product to go with it. So, but I'm 32 years into my career that doing that. So, I'm the old girl in the room all the time now, Doug. Like I'm always wherever I go, I'm the oldest. I
The
used to
most
be the
suc-
youngest.
the most successful young people I know, do you know what they're doing right now? And I
What?
can name you, but I'm not going to.
No.
They're they're going after experience. The people who are succeeding, the young people who are succeeding now are going after experience, more experience than they have, experience like you have, experience like I have.
Mm-hmm.
Because we give them a shortcut to go from their current reality
Mm-hmm.
to their desired very dangerous road. And so young people now, the savvy young people, there's always been a group of savvy young people, are paying attention to this and are trying to pass what we're doing down into their organizations. And I'm seeing it more and more
Mm-hmm.
in
Yes.
the business world. Are you
Yes.
seeing it as well, Laurie?
Am I what?
Are you seeing this as well?
Oh, definitely. Right now, I have a 20-year-old young man I'm working with. I just graduated a 24-year-old young man, and I have an Indigenous friend of mine. He's just turning 40, and he's in the financial industry as a CFO. And he wants to start his own business. So he called me. He said, "Hey, why wouldn't I call you? How long have you been in business?" I said, "Since I was 12." So hello, and I'm now 75. So let me see, how many years is that? I don't even want to think about it. Longer than you've been alive, Doug. Actually. Okay, well, let's bring in this beautiful woman that you've invited to the show, and thank you for doing that. And we'll just pop her in here. Hi, Janine. Welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Hi,
Cool.
Janine.
Where are you located, Janine?
Ottawa, Ontario.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I am here.
And
I was
yeah,
listening to you guys talk about the information and the younger generations going after the wise ones. I want the person who's had experience every single time over someone else. So you're
yeah.
right up. Age is just a number.
It's only a number to me, my girl. No medication, nothing yet, so we're good.
So,
I'm not on the drugs.
so how are you, Janine? How's everything? How's everything going in your life? Are you spreading the message? Because we're going to get into that a little bit, and a little bit about your story as well. But how's everything coming along?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, still wildly passionate about the life after sports and transition topic. There's also a number of other things roadblocks that I've had to overcome, from divorce to bankruptcy and breast cancer. So not only as an athlete, I've had to navigate some 3 major milestones in my life. And for me, helping people with self-awareness so that they can close the gap on where they are and where they want to be. And that's why I was always drawn to your work as well, Doug, is still right there, living life with 3 kids and busy household and a day job still as well. So life is full and busy.
Well, the kids are really the focus of your efforts, and I brought something to this particular show, which is because it speaks the same message you're speaking. He does. This is the amazing Kreskin. He's one of the leading guys in the world at the subconscious mind, and I had dinner with him about 4 or 5 years ago. And I asked him what the biggest thing that we can't see that's happening, that's hurting human beings more than anything else. And he said, small screens, locked doors, and minors.
Oh,
And I stuck with that. That was, 2017. So it was longer than a few years ago. He said this to me, and it stuck with me. And I see this all over your work.
Yeah.
I just see that, like, that seems to be your passion. Tell us about that, please.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, even with my own children, I mean, the obsession with devices, it's wild. We're always like, you need to get outside. But the big message that I work on is sports are what you do. They're not who you are. And how do we help these younger athletes cultivate and nurture the essence of who they are, the skill sets that they're learning in sport, translate into other areas of opportunity for them? Because eventually 100% of us all stop our sport, whether it be due to injury, retirement, or some unforeseen circumstances that forces us to hang up the jersey, right? So how do we cultivate and nurture a society, our younger future leaders on, this is just one part of who you are. It's going to take up a lot of your time. And that's why we get stuck in the identity piece of being an athlete, because it's all we know. We eat, sleep, and breathe it, right? From morning till dawn. So that's a big part of, they learn so many great skill sets in sport, but how do we help them cultivate and nurture those other parts of them so that when sport does end, and hopefully they have a long career, but it does eventually, there's always those unforeseen circumstances. Are they ready to take on the world and not go through that huge dark period that a lot of us do unfortunately go through?
And you're talking about leadership starting within the dressing room, though, right? I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
that's one of the things that's been missing is that they've never really built leaders inside the dressing room, other than making them look like another GM or somebody that's, spying on everybody else in the room. It hasn't been an empowering thing that the teams have built.
Yeah, so I do a lot of focus around character development and how they show up and how they handle. I have a few different things that I work with them. Like the number one things we talk about. I actually have the 5 non-athletic unique traits of great athletes: body language after you make a mistake, how you interact with teammates on and off the ice, how you respond to feedback from coaches, are you staying engaged even when on the bench, and how you treat those around you. I mean, scouts today, if they see you treat your parents poorly, there's just so much talent. You're just not even going to be looked at.
Really,
Yeah.
really. And before, like in my era, it was like, who cares? We'll straighten that out.
Exactly. So, and I think those skill sets are the ones that no one can take away from you. I always talk about, attitude and, you're going to go through challenges. You're going to see adversity. You're going to hit, you're not going to get played. You're going to go from the first line to the fourth line. I'll never forget going from the first line to the fourth line when I played NCAA ice hockey at UNH. And I remember walking into my coach's room and saying, why would I go from the first to the fourth line? And she was like, you're too fast. You don't know how to control your speed. You're messing up the whole team. And that was I'll never forget that lesson, but it was such an eye opener for me on just something like that. And I had to just put my head down, work hard, try to adapt, be coachable. And I earned my spot back up on the roster. But there's just so many lessons that are transferable to life, right?
Oh yeah. No, the game has changed so much, and I was saying in the preview that I have 2 daughters and 2 sisters, and I'm always open to the female perspective. So, but a lot of the things I've heard over the years, it's so different in the girls' dressing room than it is in the guys' dressing room, even today, right?
I mean, I'm 42, so I played 20 years ago, even in the National Women's Hockey League. I mean, the friendships that happen in girls hockey and the bonding there is such a special time. I mean, my daughter's 10, turning 11, my son's 9, and my bonus child, aka stepson, is 19. So I've seen the different sexes play and navigate their sport, but girls are like giddy. It's kind of like they still are into like makeup and girly things, and then it's just a different vibe. They have an emotional level that I think men tap into it, but it's just not as spoken about, maybe more so now because mental health is at the forefront. But girls can be more emotional. When you have that team bonding experience and you have that ability to share with those relationships, it's pretty special.
Mm-hmm. It does. I guess amongst the girls, it doesn't feel like somebody's trying to take something from you all the time. See, amongst the boys, it's like there's somebody's trying to take something. You got to be careful. They're gonna, you know what I mean? You're
Yeah, I
always
don't
on
know.
edge.
Some girls are really competitive. Don't be fooled. There's a lot of women that are, and those are the skill sets that I aim to teach. If somebody is taking your spot that you would like to be playing, what are you doing behind closed doors to earn that position? What are you doing when you're not at practice? How are you managing your time? If you need help with passing or shooting or some sort of skill set, and somebody is just naturally gifted in that arena? Well, that's life, right? So, but what are you doing to put in the time? When I was talking to Chris Pronger about this too, he's like, even, and Doug, and the NHL level, the best of the best still have to put in the hard work. Like there's no secret sauce. We all look for that easy way out. There's nothing that replaces putting your head down and just getting to work, navigating mentors like yourselves to ask, how can I get there quicker to help make less mistakes along the way? But I mean, everybody wants the secret pill and magic to success. It's like, put your head down, be a good human, be respectful, develop your character, see how you can be better, ask for feedback, be coachable. Like
But you trust that the management is going to weed out the people who are causing problems. Yet the transition over the last 25 years has been cleaning up the management so that they can lead properly. Don't you think that that's happened? And there's been so much value added by women's sports to men's sports. There should be a direct pipeline from women's sports right to men's sports, and they should change their policies to reflect it, right?
What a time to be alive for female athletes. And I'm very big on, I love what men do and create. And I'm not one of those like only women, blah, blah, blah. I love our men. We need our men, and they've paved the way, you know, but it's just such a beautiful time to be alive, to watch everything that's happening in women's sports. Like I wish 20 years ago was my National Women's Hockey League was in the PWHL. The nice thing though, the Ottawa team brought a group of us out. They called us the Trailblazers, and they honored those of us that played in the National Women's Hockey League as the Trailblazers for the league. And we've been at the U.S. Embassy with the ambassador, David Cohen. He had us over there too. So it's been nice the way they're trying to keep us old girls in the lineup with what's happening in the new.
Well, and you're making such a big difference afterwards, and giving back to the sport at a younger age, right? With the whole identity thing, like revealing, you're trying to reveal to people what can happen, right? If you don't manage this properly.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I mean, we can be told, how many times has a child been told, like, don't touch the oven, it's hot, and we all want to touch the oven. So unfortunately, life, we can tell someone to they're blue in the face, they can read all the books, but it's all about experience and taking that risk and taking that chance on yourself. But I encourage my athletes to take risks on themselves, because guess what happens when they take risks? They develop a confidence increases, the belief in themselves, they're able to take a chance and risk on themselves, because if you don't take a risk on yourself, no one else will. Right. So, and then they just start to take more and more, and they're okay with the failure. I think we need to, like, failure is everything. Fail forward and fail hard, people. Go run through that brick wall, because that's the only way you learn either what you do want, what you're seeking, or sometimes you do something and you're like, you know what, that's actually not something I want to do. And you're gathering intel on this beautiful life that you're living and the experiences that you're having. And
don't put people in management that put that type of thing down, that put people down, like that when they make a mistake, they say that, what are you, are you an idiot or something?
You know what?
That was my life.
I grew up with a very strict father, RCMP officer. I thrive on the coaches that were a little bit of jerks to me, I guess I should say, or a little bit harder, just because though I had that resilient mindset from having a father that was very strict. So it didn't throw me off. Now, as a society, unfortunately, we are coddling our children a little bit too much. And so I'm always like, parents, let your kids carry their bags. Why are you prepping their bag for them the night before? What are we teaching them? Even my kiddos, like at 5 years old, they've been helping with the dishwasher, giving them small responsibilities. No, if I could do it for you, but then you're not learning anything. So I put a lot of emphasis on the parents too. Like, you got to allow your children and athletes to show up. How do we coach and help them, right? And then when you talk about the management side, I mean, Claude Julien was over and he was talking about, like, back in the day, you would never go knock on your coach's door and ask for feedback. He's like, I wouldn't even think about it. We just sucked it up. It sounded like you were alluding to that. And he's like, but you got to evolve with the game. And today you've got to have an open door policy. Athletes need to be able to come to speak to you, but it goes on both the coach and the athlete. The athletes, you need to speak up for yourself. Parents, don't speak for your athletes. And coaches, you need to have an open door policy and not make them feel like you're going to sit on the bench if you share your feelings or share that you're going through a tough time, or it's a two-way street, right? So
well said. Well, very well said. Excellent.
Yeah. But
okay, Doug, we're going to take a little break. And
wow, this has been fascinating. Yeah, I got some questions. I got some questions coming up. Okay.
All right. Well, this is the time. There'll be very few shows left, Doug, without real live commercials here, because we've launched our advertising campaign last week, and I'm also working on that for the press box, as well as our Today show, which we broadcast 5 days a week. This is my second show today, and I never know whether I should change my outfit or not, but today it's hot, so I left it on. You're going to see me twice today, ladies and gentlemen, in the same thing. Who cares? Anyway, so this is a time when and by the way, Janine, believe it or not, Doug and I are always coordinated.
Yeah.
And sometimes
we don't talk about it.
We don't talk about it. It just happens.
Well, I like it. You guys are looking great.
Thank you. So here we go. This is our 30-second snowflakes flying up into the air, soon to be replaced by real live advertising and commercials. So we're excited about that.
The day is set. Join us October 12th, 2024 at Carrigan Arms for our next fundraiser in honor of veterans, the Invictus Games in British Columbia, Canada, and TDC Employment Program Enrollment. For more information, email us at info@thedisabilitychannel.ca. The Disability Channel would like to thank our existing sponsors. We really appreciate the support and kindness from the BIAs across the GTA, Ontario, Canada, and our friends in the USA. We love making new friends. Thank you for supporting our existing employment programs.
Welcome back, everybody. You're watching The Press Box with host Doug Smith and our guest, Janine Charron. Am I saying it properly? And I wish to apologize to Janine. I must have been having a senior moment when I gave you the time of the show. So I can get away with that now. I never used to be able to pull that senior card, but I can do that now.
Hey, man.
Except when I go to the grocery stores on Wednesdays and we have Seniors Day. And I love it because they always say, do you qualify for the seniors discount? And I go,
absolutely.
I go, no. And I go, yes. Yes, I do. So, Doug, you had a question for Janine?
Well, yeah, how you relate. I want to make it easy for teams to understand that they need people, supporters like this inside their organization, right? If they want to protect the kids, they can't be interfering with what you're doing. The management cannot be interfering with what you are doing. You are another set of eyes for that child, right? And so, you know, that's what is that what you're doing? Is that how you've positioned?
Yeah,
because
actually, that's a great way to think about it. Because if you think about parents, we want to help our kids move forward and take their own action. And then coaches, your job is to coach. So it's hard to have. So I have a Bachelor of Science in Business Marketing. So I'm not a psychologist. However, given all my work and mindset and everything I've had to overcome in my life, a lot of people I work with have said to me, Janine, I've gotten more from you in a session just based on my life experience. When I was off with breast cancer, I put together my T.I.G.E.R method playbook. And the goal is I want to encourage self-leadership and self-reliance. So how do we do that, right? We give these responsibilities. We encourage the tough conversations. We want you to feel a little uncomfortable, to stretch yourself. And then as a coach, you get to come back and go, okay, well, what did you learn about yourself? How does that feel? You know, when a coach is trying to learn, like when I go into a locker room with the team, for example, I did one not too long ago, and the coach is there to work on the unit as a whole. How do we win games? How do we get to the championship? How do we form a unit? I'm in there demanding the best of them as an individual. Coaches still will do that. But what I'm pulling out, I really dig down and call them out on, because my whole thing is life's currency is showing up. So if I don't show up for me behind closed doors, that ripple effect is not going to happen in my life. So when you think about it from a sporting side of things, it's that if I do my 100% and you do yours, imagine what we could do together on the ice. But if I'm only bringing 50 and you're bringing 100, there's a disconnect from an individual standpoint, from a radical responsibility standpoint. So mine is ownership, radical responsibility. You say you want this, but you're spending 10 hours on social media. Well, this guy's doing stick handling drills for 5 extra hours, right? Mm-hmm. So your ambitions are out of alignment with your actions. So how do we get you on the right path? How do we get you to say no? How do we get you to manage your time? How do we get you to be respectful of your parents and understand you wouldn't be in this position if they weren't paying the crazy amount of money that they are charging for sports today? So there's a lot of thank yous and gratitude, and making sure that their ego is checked at the door as they grow and learn, and maintaining that same passion and confidence. Like, I'm not trying to make them not be energetic and enthusiastic. It's just calling them out on having great character, being respectful, and being a good human, right?
How do you get their permission to get in there more often? I mean, you're in there now, but you can automate things. You can take care of a lot of people and give them this message. But how do we get you in there? What is the message for them that's gonna turn them around? And I'm working on many of the same things, right? Like, because you want to change people's mindset. Are you thinking through that process?
Yeah, luckily by word of mouth, my schedule was full. Like last season, I was working with a number of teams. I think there was an 8-month period where I was speaking like 4 times a week. So it was a full and it's local, which is great because I'm local. And again, it just kind of I've been letting word of mouth kind of run its course. I do believe when you're in the right lane for yourself, and this is, or like even my interviews, I'm almost about to film episode 63, and I've had Donovan Bailey, I've had yourself, NBA, Chris Pronger, like Mark Mathot, Claude Julien. I mean, the athletes that are saying yes to this conversation is because it's the right conversation, right? They're feeling, and I do believe when you're in your lane, you don't need to force your way. It organically happens because I'm doing the work on my end. The universe is showing up for me out there as well because I'm taking care of what needs to. So organically, it's honestly been taking care of itself. Sorry, did I cut someone off there? I thought I heard a voice. No. Could it reach more people? Probably could. I've just been enjoying the process of it just happening naturally because people see the need.
Okay. Yeah, we should do some more work to get the message out because things like this happened to me, and I'm sure it's happening now, and it doesn't have to happen. But one of my assistant coaches in Bantam, like who I was very attracted to, like I really liked him, but he seemed to not want to talk to me a lot. And then I had lunch with him when I was 45 years old, and he told me that the coaching staff had marked me to succeed so that I was hands off. He wasn't to have any conversations with me.
Interesting.
You know what I mean? They were removing my support system so that they could manage, one or two people could manage my success.
Well, you know what I think though? It's like a child that's self-sufficient. We spend more time on the child that really needs, we know they need more. And then the one that is has self-leadership and these qualities, we kind of go, oh, they're fine. They get it. But we just need to recognize that even the best of the best, or the are showing up and doing the thing, need the coaching as well and the support as well. Because we might appear confident, but behind closed doors, our internal dialogue could be saying something else, right?
Yeah, they weren't managing anything to do with my central nervous system or brain. They were just simply going after whatever was like success or money to them, right? Money being success. So
what
getting
would you
people
have had them change for you? What support would you have liked to have seen?
Oh, I would have liked to have. Somebody could have asked me who I liked spending time with, who was somebody I wanted to learn from, who was like who I was attracted to and not attracted to, And if I'm not attracted to somebody, don't put me in their lair.
Yeah.
Or
maybe there's a lesson that you have to learn when we're around people that trigger us. Usually they're revealing something in us ourselves, right? Where you're like, oh, is there an area that I need to work on? Why is this person triggering me so badly? But
don't put up any manual gateways.
Yeah. For sure.
Right? Like instead of putting up manual gateways, take manual gateways down.
Yeah. Well, and this is where it is nice when you do have someone, say like myself, or there's mental performance coaches out there. I call myself a mindset and resiliency development coach, again, because I do not have the psychology background. I don't want to pretend that I do, but I feel very confident in what I'm teaching because I've lived it as well. However, when you allow a third party to take care of this part of it, also the athletes are way more vulnerable with me than they would a coach because they're worried if I'm too honest with the coach, they're not going to play me, right?
Yeah, you can't fire them, right? Yeah,
exactly.
That's right.
So having that support system, and I always go to the coaches as well. What's your mission and vision here? What are you trying to get from your team? There's always a lot of similar things, but what is your intention? And then I marry my message with the goal that they're after. So I like to marry in what's important to the coaches as well, because it's their team. And then I give them my Janine's secret sauce on top of it of how I would approach this or what I would have the girls do or work on, or guys. I do work a lot. I get a lot of calls from female athletes though, and their teams. So that's a focus. But when you do that, you allow the coach to coach and then the players, right? So you give them that development piece that sometimes coaches don't want to be that person.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, this isn't my background. I'm here to help teams win. And that's what they're great at. That's why there is an arena for this type of support for athletes.
Yeah, everybody needs help. It doesn't matter who you are, for sure. And the way that you get help and the way that you can accept help is different too. So the analysis they're doing now, at least it exists. At least there's an analysis that exists. There's not so much collusion, right?
Yeah, it all stems from leadership too. If you've got a coach that needs a lot of work personally, that's going to trickle down to the organization. So a lot of times, sorry, Laurie, did you have something to add in there?
No, I'm agreeing with you.
So if if we have a leadership front that is all on board with this sort of things, you're going to see a team, I think, just surpass everyone because they're having the difficult conversations. They're self-aware, they're mindful of, I still love a coach that comes in and is, be hard on me, push me to my limits, but you can be respectful and be a conscious leader nowadays, as opposed to just being like, suck it up, get over it, get back on the bench, give me another drill, like just treating us like barn cattle. But there is a place for that type of, like when you're on the ice in practice, like I'm not here to talk about your feelings, park that at the door, we're going to practice. And then you could have evaluations or whatever. You could make it work into your coaching where you have these assessments. It takes a lot of time. That's why it's nice if you have someone else on the staff that can help do this. But if the coach is on board, the team would normally be on board.
But it's about and it's about dropping out of the net potentially. Everybody goes to their own place. The kids go to different places, and they're exposed to different things.
Yeah.
And you're either improving your performance or you're hurting your performance.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
And so the mechanism that you provide, and I want to get this out loud and clear to everybody who's listening, is a necessity for teams now. The model, and I've spent time with the Oilers and I've spent time with the Kings. The model now is built like a support system at the NHL level, right? So they all have like 5 to 7 supporters, and including a chef.
Yeah.
Right. How many eyeballs, is that for the individual?
I know, it's incredible. Even financial help you're seeing with teams. They're getting people that are talking to them about their finances.
But their order is messed up because of bias. Okay. So the emotional piece always gets shoved down to the bottom, and it still does.
Yes.
Right.
And it the more important one for sure.
Well, it needs to be first. It's not like the emotional piece has to be first because it drives everything. It heals, right? And it leads. And so that's sort of where they're stuck right now is from what I can see, and you can comment on this, the whole thing is stuck with having it, physically based or financial based. Oh, and then we'll talk about the emotional stuff after.
Well, that's because it sells tickets, Doug. We know this.
There we go. Okay.
So they focus on your skill set. I get it. That's where when you have someone that can work with the athletes behind closed doors, you really can change the narrative in a locker room, because when you help someone become more self-aware, like the work that you do or that I do or many others do in the community, and you help someone be able to surrender whatever it is that they're resisting, and then they can do some introspection and reflection. Sometimes they just have blinders on, and that can change everything. But yes, it's getting everybody on board and rowing in the same direction and open that, hey, no one's perfect. We're all going to make mistakes. And are we going to look out for each other, or are we going to make each other feel bad when you need some emotional support? Right. So,
is the management and the coaches, are they okay with opening up the heart that much? Because it's always been sort of a threat.
Of course.
Right. And it's not that many generations ago.
Yeah.
It was the number one threat, right?
Yeah.
Asking for help being a sign of weakness. Yes.
Yeah. And that's what, and I mean, I do believe today is you see a lot of companies and teams and just the community as a whole, they are riding, the new mental health wave, and you're seeing people are saying the right things. Are they doing it behind closed doors? I think we still got a long way to go. But I mean, with the amount of teams that have brought me in this year, I mean, there's definitely people that are committed towards their athletes, and the coaches, they're trying to invest in them and their development and growth. So it is happening.
Your value is the sports arena is cute and nice and tiny, but the business world needs to hear your message, because it's totally transferable.
Absolutely.
It has to do with transformation, right? You're the perfect demographic to be able to deliver it. Yeah. So, I
refer to that as strategic stamina. So, how do you transition into the corporate world? Because it's about the long game too. Everybody is this, as a society, unfortunately, with how our quick access to credit cards and our quick access to cell phones and the internet, we like that immediate gratification. However, development and all the things that you do, this takes time. This takes going out and living your life and learning and having experiences and having to, introspect and reflect, and then take action and take more action and talk to people and navigate life. Like, this isn't a one and done. We will be doing this till the day we die. This is that type of work, right? And your passion for meditation, that's something that when I went through breast cancer, walking and meditation were my alliances. I mean, I was for 40 years, I muscled my way through life. I did, marathons and half marathons and triathlons. And then I lost 30 pounds in 8 weeks to compete in a figure competition where I won first place. I like anytime I needed to fill my void or tank, I knew what I needed to do to get external validation, and I would pick an athletic endeavor because I was able to do it. And then I'd achieve it, and I'd have a momentary, like, life was great for a little bit until it wasn't again, right? And then breast cancer hit, and Janine could not muscle her way through anything. I had to sit with myself, and that's when the real magic happened in my life.
And Laurie was laughing at us because she's listening to two athletes, and she's not. And she knows that's exactly how I.
Well, yeah, and I don't think when I'm listening to Janine, it's there's a difference between, you talked about, you've mentioned it a couple of times that you're not a psychologist, and I'd encourage you not even to say that. Okay. Yeah, because there's credentials. We can be credentialed and have the paper or the degree on the wall or whatever. But the real value comes from our credibility. And our credibility comes from our experience, and our experience is what we actually know. So it's like when I hear that somebody has taken a life coach training workshop, she's 25 and she spent $49, and on Monday morning she puts out her shingle and she's a life coach.
Yeah.
That's not credible to me. So I'm enjoying the conversation between you and Doug. I'm not an athlete. I have athletes who are clients. Doug is a client of mine. So just in that conversation, I'm thinking about what you guys are talking about is needed in every industry.
Yes.
Yes, but the corporate, here's the challenge. And I run into this. The corporate world, and right to the military, who I speak with as well, they have to be asked if they want to go down this road that Janine is talking about, are they willing to lose their job? Because if that leader is not willing to lose their job, to know that the change that's going to be made is going to cost them their head, then
it's not going to happen.
Then we can't play.
No.
Right?
It's like, what's that Winnie the Pooh? Is it Winnie the Pooh where it goes in, or is it Borax? Unless someone cares a whole awful lot, it's just not going to get better. It's not, or whatever. There's a really cute saying, but it's all about, you need someone who they want to go to the nth degree about this topic, right? And they're willing to.
And find it. If you could find that, like if it's a Dr. Zeus thing and it represents what we just talked about.
Winnie the Pooh, yeah.
Or Winnie the Pooh.
Actually, I think it was Lorax. I'd have to find it. It's really cute.
But the Lorax is Dr. Zeus.
Yeah. But it is. It's like, if you got to, and you know what's funny? My nickname is Tiger. And when my grandfather died, he passed away, it would have been 2010. I'll never forget getting the phone call. I was in Austin, Texas. I used to live there. And I'll never forget, I was driving back from the gym and my dad called me and he knew I was very close to my grandfather. And I went to a coffee shop, and in my journal out came my first version of the T.I.G.E.R method. So this was in 2010. And it was all about mindset, transform your thinking, ignite your passion and purpose, goal set, execute, revise. And it was kind of like something was being channeled through me. And I was like, where is this coming from? 2017, when I went through my bankruptcy, I was suffering in silence, eating my emotions, probably drinking too much, just not dealing with the financial stress that we had to deal with. And then my physical T.I.G.E.R emerged, and it's where it was the body formation part. And then in breast cancer in 2020, my spiritual T.I.G.E.R evolved. And it's crazy that it came out as mind, body, soul in my own life experience, which was pretty crazy. But that nickname has carried in my heart. I've had people say, like, when are you going to stop doing this and just focus on a day job? Or why don't you go get a government job? Because I still work during the day. I actually took half a day off to be on this, today, because I work now. But my kids, they're expensive, right? Life is expensive. But, when people have asked me, are you still going to do this? I go, this is this is innate. I will be doing this till the day I die. I am wildly passionate about it, and I do care enough to I could stand on stage in front of hundreds of thousands of people and share this message and know in my heart it's resonating. I'm grounded and I'm coming from that higher place because it's within us, right? And it's within you too, Doug. I've seen in the passion in your work and the frustration on like, how do we word this, or which way do we deliver this to the world? So those are the people that care enough to make the change.
What would okay, here's the question then. I think you could open and step in any door that you want. So, your top two, like if you had the opportunity to work with somebody or some team, there must be those two sitting in your mind somewhere. Who would they be right now?
Well, when I think about my bucket list, actually, I'm looking at, I have a whiteboard up on my wall.
I knew it. I knew you had it in there. Yeah.
My bucket, like in terms of when I think about my life after sports, my TEDx talk that I gave at Queen's University and all these interviews, when I watch documentaries on like David Beckham and you look at what he went through, I don't know if you've ever seen his story, but I did not know that they made him practice alone. It just the people that show up, like Arnold Schwarzenegger, the way he's navigated his life as well. The Rock, or Wayne Gretzky is someone who I would love to get on my series as well. And these are people. I love showcasing the story side because my mission and vision is to help the athletes that's suffering in silence, letting them know you're not alone. Like, we've all struggled. Even the people that have achieved great success, they've questioned themselves. They are fearful. They take action and they don't know what the heck they're doing, but they still take action. Right. So, the storytelling piece and building community from that point is something I'm wildly passionate about, and helping people realize, you're not alone. And the reason why I did start it was 2 friends were found deceased in their homes who were professional athletes that didn't transition to life after sports. They were stuck in the identity piece and they couldn't find that other side of them. And that's why we're very passionate about sports are what you do. They're not who you are. And how do we help that translate into your business life, into other, maybe you like art, maybe you like horseback riding, maybe you want to be an entrepreneur, maybe you want to do real estate. All these skill sets that we're learning in sport are transferable. And when the coaches realize we're not here just to win, we're here to just develop these amazing people into better teammates, into losing with dignity, into, someone who gives back to the community. Like, there's so much more to sport that we can see.
And Laurie's message, she spent the last 35 years, on self-worth, right? We all walk around feeling like there's something wrong with us.
Do you see my necklace? I didn't even know that. Look. It says, it's a little hard. It says worthy. So anytime I work with my athletes, my friend Amanda started this company called Worthy Wands, and I'm always gifting people a worthy wand. The one.
Oh, that's a cool idea.
And then there's a black one that I've given like my son, my husband. I have friends where they're like, Janine, this is the nicest. It comes with a nice little letter. But for me, telling someone their worth, I'm wildly passionate about that too. It means everything, because I think we all walk around with lack of belief. And if you just had someone whispering in your ear, I believe in you, the world would be so different.
Laurie?
Yes. Well, I was 43, I guess, when I started my company and my business and the pursuit of information to support people in the repair and restoration of their self-worth. Because for me, it's everything. It's the bottom line. You don't have that, you have nothing.
I love that. The repair and restoration of their self-worth.
Yes. But people, you hear the old sayings, well, we should love ourselves. Okay. Terrific message. But show me how to do that, because perhaps I didn't have that experience growing up. I may not know how to love myself. So I'm the how-to person. We now have over 1,000 workshops that support people in the repair and restoration of their self-worth. We actually have 40 workshops for youth. And that's what I've spent the last 32 years doing, was creating the curriculum. And I could do that because by profession, I'm a teacher. Spent 15 years in the public school system, walked up to my principal and I said, I'm resigning this year. He said, you can't do that. I said, who said? I said, because you know what we're doing here? I'm one of the programmers dumbing the kids down. They can't even cross the street by themselves. Seriously? And I'm not. And when they asked us to administer Ritalin to children in the room that were a little overactive, I refused. I gave up my career on that. I said, no, I'm neither qualified nor willing to medicate a 5-year-old. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And I left. And that was in 1984. So I've been self-employed and delivering my message for 40 years.
I love that. I love all of that. And I think a lot of us, not most of us that are in this arena, our goals are very similar in the sense of like repairing obviously self-worth and belief in self and confidence, but we do it with our own flavor and we go from our own spirit experiences and the thing that transformed us. So I think it's really neat, the work that both of you are doing. I'm very inspired by it. So thank you for what you're giving to the community, because there's so much work to go around. There's not enough light workers out there.
Well, there's no right answer. There's no right answer. It's a matter of enhancement.
Right.
That's what I've been preaching for years. This is not about about being the best thing that you have, the best system that you have. Your system has to integrate. It can't violate the natural order of things. If your system violates physics, and that can be established by spreadsheets, then you can't use it. Don't use it. Like, be able to explain it and defend it, right? And that's what you're doing, right? That's what Laurie's doing. That's what I'm trying to do as well. It makes sense.
I think this might be of interest to Janine, though. Janine, when I started the pursuit of that, the study of self-worth 35 years ago, I couldn't find a book that had ever been written about it. I couldn't find a paper that had ever been published about it. And actually the word self-worth was interchanged with self-esteem, which didn't become a buzzword until the late 80s, early 90s. As a young school teacher in the system, we didn't even know anything about that. It was not in our training. I wouldn't have known how to service a student who maybe all of a sudden the parents are getting separated, or there's been a death in the family, and they came to school in a state that I really couldn't even connect to, or that you could see. As a matter of fact, I taught high school for a year, and the staff told me, watch on Monday morning, because on Monday morning you'll be able to tell which kids lost their virginity on the weekend. And I said, seriously? What are you talking about? You see? And they said, oh no, we can always tell on Monday morning which students lost their virginity on the weekend. And I said, how would you know that? And see, they didn't have the vocabulary like we have now. When we use all these labels, they said, well, they're the kids who come in and they're just not feeling that good about themselves, and their eyes are cast to the floor because of the shame. What they were really saying was their self-worth had just been smashed.
Yeah.
But we didn't have the vocabulary. So this is all very evolutionary, what's happened since I started many years ago.
Introducing Veteran House Alliance International Monthly 50/50 Raffle. Purchase your ticket today, link on display, and have a chance to win cash and help a great platform supporting veterans.
Go ahead. Sorry, go ahead, Janine.
I was going to say, and what is the biggest thing for you, Laurie, that you've been proud of and that you've seen change over the years from your perspective?
In the world, you mean, or just
either you've created or that you've seen a positive movement towards, that you're really, obviously the self-worth arena you're passionate about, but
when I was able to be instrumental in transforming an Indigenous reservation from poverty, lack, low self-worth, and the opportunity to go visit that community 20 years later, and I couldn't even recognize it because it was the infrastructure was there, the businesses were there, new homes, and it had all come from a group of kids that I worked with on that reservation in 1998, 72 young people, and they are now the adults who transformed their community.
See, and that's what it takes. It takes that one person that, grabs hold of what you're teaching or coaching, and they change the world. And that's the power of, this type of work. So that's incredible.
Totally. Thank you.
It is. And the better we get at, measuring it and proving it to other people that it works, just so that it becomes second nature. Because it's still right now in society, it's not quite second nature, especially in sports. So, how can we kill them with kindness? That's what I'm looking for. What's the kindest way we can do it?
Honestly, I think the people that are that find it important, they're going to implement it into their teams, and what you're going to see down the way is they're going to be the ones that they go along further along, and the others will be caught, riding their coattails until they knock their heads and decide like, oh shit, we better get on
The
this
world
bandwagon,
of winning and losing. Yeah, the
Yeah.
world of winning and that's the way it is, right?
Well, think about the pressure on an athlete. I mean, especially in the men's, the women now, the PWHL, but I think about a goalie, as much as we know it's a team effort, but if they're being hard on themselves or the goal's gotten in, I mean, the mental game is everything. So, with people, and the big one for me, my big lesson, as much as I recognize about myself, my need to muscle my way through, and then the awareness that I gained after breast cancer and connecting deeper with myself through meditation, it's the internal. My father was strict on me, so my external words became my internal words. So if we don't know the environments that they've grown up in, we don't know the dialogue that's going on in their head, right? That was I didn't have that self-awareness until I got into meditation, and I would meditate talking to the many faces of Janine. So I would call upon why do you need to be the center of attention? Why do you got to be the life of the party? And I talk to party Janine, and then I'd be like, okay, next session I would talk to controlling Janine. Why do you feel the need to manipulate the controlling? And then it was like, okay, why did that just trigger? We need to talk to jealous Janine. You're happily married, but why did that bug you? So, and these were just parts of my internal psyche that I was not aware of. And I could visualize in my meditation. I'll never forget this one little girl, in a ball, and us hugging it out. When you think about that inner child work and conversations that I had to help myself, meditations where I would be bawling my eyes out. It would take 45 minutes and I'd feel really tight here. And I knew I always wanted to be a public speaker. And this is before I landed my TED talk and all those things. And I was always tight. So I would tap. And then 45 minutes in, all of a sudden, just bawling my eyes out. My husband would be like, I don't think this is working. You should probably stop doing this. And I'm like, this is exactly what the work is. You just don't know it. It's like showing up at the gym. Eventually you're going to get in shape, but you don't know at which session, but you don't stop going. Right. So, and sure enough, over time, this new version of myself emerged. And that's the whole part of why I always say, keep showing up. We don't know. Is it going to be 10 sessions, 20, 30 when you're going to have that aha moment? But if you just keep doing it, it's inevitable, right?
Mindfulness, you've really leveraged mindfulness, right? And
absolutely.
And being aware that you aren't hockey, right? That's not. I love your message, and I really want to work with you as much as possible to make people aware that it exists, and I know that we'll be able to figure out a couple of one-liners that'll stop them in their tracks and make them make a decision as to whether they're going to go down that road or whether they're going to wait. And if you can just do it quicker and quicker, right?
Well, it's funny because when you talk to teams, they're without a doubt, they're going to spend money on, an extra ice session. And I remember in one of our parents' meeting, I go, we don't need extra ice sessions. We need more team bonding, self-awareness, mindset work. And that's where the real magic happens. But it's that whole do, muscle our way through. That's how we've been raised, right? As opposed to, maybe we need to assess what happened on the weekend, or you just got in a fight with your best friend and that's why you can't show up. Are you even hearing me? Do you need to have a clearing? Is this conversation even resonating, or did you just get in a fight with someone and you can't even be fully present in what I'm trying to teach you? So that time has just gone out the window because we didn't take a time. I always do a clearing with my group of athletes, and I have them write down something, and I just say, listen, you don't need to tell me, you don't need to tell anyone. I want everyone to take out a piece of paper and write down what could be holding you back from being present and hearing what I'm trying to teach you. Well, life will still be there at the end of this session, but let's get it off our chest so that so you can be here in the now. And I really want you to take away some of these lessons that I'm trying to teach you. So,
wow, creating a safe enough environment to get to get a from the heart answer. That's the art.
Yeah.
Right. Of a team. That's the art of a team, right? What's
Yeah,
that,
That
Laurie?
sounds familiar. Yes. Well,
Yeah,
you don't have that. Nobody's going to hear what you have to say anyway.
exactly.
So if you don't have that capacity to build that instant trust,
Yeah.
that's what we have to have in order for people to feel safe to share. And
Yeah.
that's what's kept us in business, to tell you the truth. That's the core of our business.
yes,
We
yes,
don't
yes.
we don't take on any more than 6 people at a time in a workshop. Sometimes we do 2 people, 1 people, and for some people that seems very slow, but once we work with
Yeah.
one person, it
Yeah.
impacts.
Mhm.
You're actually energetically impacting 250 people with each person. Like right now here, there's 3 of us. There's actually 750 of us in the room right now.
Yeah, for sure.
The energy that will go out from the
And
broadcast.
I talk a lot about, actually, it's funny, energy to me, I'm quite energetic. I think you can tell.
No
Passionate,
kidding.
wildly passionate too, but I'm like, guys, you're not saying anything, but your energy, no offense, it sucks. Like your body language and your communication and your lack of tone or excitement. Are you even like, sometimes you just want to wake them up, be like, hello.
Well, that's because Doug and I both have a dog, and I don't know if you have a dog, but I just said to my husband the other day, I said, that dog has more personality than most people I know.
It's true. And people don't
Yeah,
realize passion will get you places. Like when
yeah,
you're excited about stuff, when you're
enthusiasm.
yeah,
Yes.
exactly. And I was not the best. I was never the best hockey player in the sense from a from a hands standpoint. I was a ringette player until like 15, but I was wildly energetic, very fast, and I could be physical. So I made a name for myself in forechecking, coughing up the puck, and creating those things. But my energy and enthusiasm put me in leadership roles all the time because I came happy to, my attitude was right and I was positive, and I would work out and do my skate, then we would lift and I would hop on the treadmill for an hour just to get my wind up, right? So I always tell these kids, you don't have to be the best. You never know what they're looking for. Just have a great attitude and work your ass off. You're the missing piece that a lot of puzzle, because everyone follows that, right? So it's exciting to see.
Let's figure out how do people, where do you want them to go? Where do you want
JanineCharron.com.
JanineCharron.com. All right.
I'm on Facebook. People always ask me on Instagram. I'm Tiger Method Janine, because they sometimes if they can't find me. So under Tiger Method Janine, but yeah, JanineCharron.com has everything there. All my social handles, my TED Talk, all my interviews, everything. Yeah.
We're doing some cool stuff on the performance front, on the neuro front, Janine, in Ottawa. Like I'm going to make sure that you're aware of it. Just from a team, it's from a team perspective. You want to work, right? Like that's what it sounds like. And so yeah, we'll have a chat about that.
I do both. I get hired individually.
Okay.
The one-on-one work is very special because you get the one-on-one time, right? You can inspire a room, but I always tell them, I'm like, I don't want you guys to be motivated for a moment and then you leave the room and nothing happens.
Oh yeah,
you need that action piece, right? So
implementation.
One-on-one. Yeah, like Laurie spends her time, like she could fill rooms of people, but so many people get left behind, right?
Yeah.
Like it's there's no need for that. Everybody needs help.
Yeah.
Doug, I apologize, you guys. We could talk for hours, but our time is up, and I have to be. I'm the bad guy here, Janine. I'm the bad.
All good. Hey, it's all good.
So our time is up, and I just want to thank you so very much for taking time out of your busy schedule to be here.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Well, you look great. Have a great day. Get out in that sun. Soak up the vitamin D.
Yes, for sure. All righty. Just give me a moment here, and tomorrow we're back with. This morning, please catch this morning's 9:00 show with Dr. Ramin Moderi. We talked about sex and money and how they're connected. And we talked about the 2 things that nobody wants to talk about, but we do. We have no problem with that. Just saying. All righty. Ready? Mm-hmm.
Thanks a lot, Janine.
Yeah, thank you guys.
days when I first heard Hank Snow. On Saturday night we'd gather around that battery radio. The chills they would run up my spine when he began to sing. And when it came to his guitar, he sure could pick that thing. He'd sing about where he was born, his Nova Scotia home. Songs of places where he's been and one off moving on. I heard him sing of Miller's Cave and Sandy Morgan's gin. And when it came to his guitar, he sure could pick that thing. Yes, Hank Snow was our hero, and he's done us all quite proud. He'd sing and pick that old guitar and please most any crowd. He's played the wide world over, and he's played for the Queen. And when it came to his guitar, he sure could pick that thing. Now I recall those good old days when they came around to vote. Some were for Will Carter, but Hank would get the most. Announcements on the radio, Hank Snow has won again. And everybody's comments were, my God, that man can sing. Well, he's left us now with saddened hearts, this legend called Hank Snow. But I'll not forget my childhood days and that battery radio. He's gone now to the heavens above to help the angels sing. I hope he took his old guitar, 'cause he sure could pick that thing. Yes, I hope he took his old guitar, 'cause he sure could pick that thing.